You've brought the quizzes back. I haven't watched one yet, I'm afraid.
How dare you? How very dare you?
I've been incredibly busy despite having nothing. It's a very strange time.
Yeah.
Welcome to Frackulous, a technology podcast for humans. Episode 338. M1 MacBooks, software subscriptions, and YouTube quizzes.
We're on air.
We're on air. We're live.
We haven't done one since last lockdown.
That's true. Yeah.
Here we are again. It's good. What lockdown was like? Shall I just carry on with my pre-recording show?
You were talking about how you embrace software upgrades, Jeff.
I was very disturbed this week to see that Tweetbot version 6 has come out, and it's gone to being subscription-based. It's $5.99, £6 a year, and I'm not doing it. This is off the back
I subscribed straight away.
I want to pay once for an app and then never again. Why is that such a thing?
I don't think £6 a year is bad for something I use every single day.
But my worry is that everything is moving to subscription based.
But that's the cost of software development.
So I use for video editing. I use, as recommended. You gave this to me, Will. Film Impact. What are they called? Motion effects. And I paid for their package a couple of years ago outright.
Adobe
and then
Premiere.
And then they went, new version is it's subscription only. And I haggled with literally the owner of the company was emailing me, and I wore him down, and he gave me a 50% discount code, and so I then signed up.
Is that for life or just for 1 year?
Yeah, it's just you've got to pay every year.
No, discount. Is your discount for life, or is it only?
Oh, I'd have to check. That's a good point. But other pieces of software that I use on my system at home, I'm not on the latest version because the latest version have all switched to subscription models, and I don't want to do that.
Although, I mean, Premiere's been subscription for
since 2012.
But the thing is, that's like
I was part of the launch of that.
Yeah, me
but that's
too.
like a core product. That's like a backbone of your system. I use that daily. That's like a workhorse type thing for little apps and stuff. For subsidiary B-list products, I don't think you should be going subscription.
I think the problem is the state of where we are now. Every year there's a new OS and a new iPhone, new features you have to support. And the problem is it costs time and money to update apps to support that.
But what happened before the world went subscription-based? How did the economy
Software
work
just didn't get updated so often. That was the thing. But now stuff didn't break just because the OS changed.
So I'm looking at my app list. I know this is something we do relatively frequently on, well, as frequent as the shows are, on Frackulous.
So once every 6 years then? Okay.
I'm not looking at the number of apps that I've got. I've just logged on to look at my subscriptions. So the apps that I pay annually, monthly for. I pay for an app called Carrot Weather, pay every month for that. And that is not a lot. It's 99p per month, and I'm very happy
David,
to pay for Carrot Weather.
So does iTunes bill you 99p every month for that?
Yes, it does.
So you don't get the year option?
I don't pay. I haven't paid for the year for Carrot Weather. No.
Should we share subscriptions? Should that be our thing?
Dipped in. Yeah, I think so.
This one.
But the one that
how many subscriptions do you have, Jeff?
What in terms of software? Just Adobe and Film Impacts. Well, no, but you say that, but I pay for Dropbox and I pay for Office 365. So
how many on your phone? On your iPhone, if you go to
none on my phone,
you've
none.
Got zero.
No,
zero. Nothing.
No, there should be
iCloud storage.
Okay, or I pay 79p for the next tier of storage.
Right. But that's your only iPhone subscription.
No, I want to buy an app. I want to buy something and go. It's like going to a shop, right? It'd be like I'm going to go and buy a new sofa. So you rock on down DFS, and instead of paying £500 for a sofa, they go, oh well, it cost you £50 a year, and at some point when a new sofa comes out, we'll give you a new sofa. No, I want to buy a sofa outright and have it. Thanks.
How many subs do you think I've got on my iPhone?
Oh, well, you've got like 10,000 apps on your phone, so you've probably got no more than 50, probably like 20 to 30.
You think I've got 20 to 30 software subscriptions?
Well, if you're paying like £1 or £2 for each subscription per month, then that's going to be a big dent in your pocket. Sorry, we totally cut in on David, by the way, about a minute ago.
No, I'm going to come back to David.
Okay.
Actually, let's go to David. David, what do you subscribe to? How many have you got on your phone?
Well, at the moment, I have, and this number includes Apple One bundle subscriptions.
Right. So you've jumped to the one.
I have jumped to the one, and I might have to change that again. But I've currently got 5, which are Overcast. I pay that annually. In fact, I've just paid Overcast $8.99 for Overcast
That's
Premium.
the podcast app, right?
And that is I'm very happy to pay $8.99 a year for Overcast, given the amount of use I get from it. Carrot Weather, another app, a visual voicemail app that I use called Hello Mail Lite, and then Apple One, which gives me a chunk of stuff. And also, I'm currently on the free month trial of Apple News. And also, there might be another app that I subscribe to, which is actually an Apple Watch app called Chirp, which is Twitter never made a Apple Watch native Twitter client.
For good reason.
However, if it did, then Chirp would be it, because it's pretty good. So, I mean, frankly, when do I use it? If I'm on the loo, I'm having a bit of a rest, because not homes are difficult places to find 5 or 10 minutes of free time. I haven't got my phone with me. It is the next best thing. Just have a quick check on Twitter while I'm sitting down checking out somewhere else.
And so, how many subscription apps do you have, Will?
I've got 7.
I was going to go with less than 10. So 7 is that's kind of where I thought you'd be.
So I've got Tweetbot 6. We've just got an Apple Music subscription. I'm on the trial for that because we got a HomePod for Christmas.
Oh.
I have my time tracking app, Hours, although I'm looking to move off that, although it's going to take me a while because I've got like years worth of data in there.
Yeah.
I've got my Apple TV Plus trial.
Yeah.
Extended till July.
I know.
Did we all get a July extension? Why did they do a July extension?
Because they haven't got the second series yet. They want you to be able to see at least the second series of stuff before you then going to have to pay for it.
So they just blanket gave that to everyone then, did they?
Yeah,
probably. Okay.
And even if like me, you are already paying for an Apple TV Plus subscription through the Apple One bundle, they're now crediting back to me $4.99 a month until say June, July or something, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw that. And then I've got Overcast as well. I've been subscribed to that for years. I just recently subscribed to Parcel, which is a delivery tracking app.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's so good now. It literally, you can set to auto forward all of your tracking emails to Parcel. It will then add them into your app, into the app in the background, and it will then pop up and say when they're being dispatched, all the status. Even on returns, you send anything back, you can scan it into Parcel. It'll tell you when it's got back to the courier, back to the company. It's amazing. And now I think
so it works with Hermes and like all DPD, the whole works.
Yeah, and that's £3 a year.
And you mentioned Overcast, Will. In fact, you've both mentioned Overcast. Sorry, why should I be getting Overcast for my podcast? Why is it so good?
It's just obviously, as you know, I listen to a lot of podcasts
at double speed.
At double speed, it was the first one that did like good speed up, so it doesn't sound weird to me anyway. It does the shortening of and they used to be premium features as well that you had to pay for as a paid one-off feature. But I just want to support the app. I want it to survive and be around, and that seems to be the case. If you don't support these apps, then there's no incentive for the developers to carry on basically updating them to the latest OS and embracing the latest features.
But again, what happened 5 years ago when apps first came out? Well, the very first year that apps came out on app stores and stuff, apps didn't not get developed. So what happened in this world?
Well, because the market's changed. So now you've got stuff like you've got widgets coming out on iOS 14, and the app doesn't just automatically get widget support. Someone's got to build that in, and that takes a lot of time and testing and all of that stuff. And if they don't get any more money for that, why should they bother? So it's more kind of, ultimately, if you want your software to keep up to date, you have to pay for it. Oh, my final subscription is TomTom Go, which I've also been subscribing to. Although I've got 3 years free. Actually, no, I got 3 years free when they went to subscription model because I had paid for the old TomTom app. And I had the European version and the UK version. So I then got an extra year free once my 3 years had expired. So I got 4 years free. So I've had to just up. I started paying for it last year. Got lots of use out of that last year, TomTom Go. But yeah, again, that's another app that I want to survive and works and I love. So yeah, that's my subs on my phone. Although I did recently just subscribe to One Blocker as well. But I did that on my Mac, and that's not showing up. I did a lifetime purchase on that one. They offered me a lifetime for $12.99.
Sorry, what app is that? One Blocker? What's that?
One Block is an ad blocker, but it was like the new updated version.
Right.
Oh, sorry. I also pay for YouTube Premium Family Edition.
Oh, okay.
Which gives 5 logins, devices.
Interesting. I've yet to subscribe to YouTube. I don't see the value in that.
Because you get adless YouTube and 5 people have adless YouTube
but I
and
always
YouTube Music, which is Spotify.
Skip. Apart from your videos, Jeff, I just press skip at the beginning.
Yeah, but we don't have to skip anything. It's just there. It's weird if ever I'm now on a computer which has adverts on YouTube. I'm like, what is this? Oh, that's right. No, everybody has. It's so weird.
I get they're actually worse on the telly, and actually everyone's putting in like 15-minute mid rolls now, aren't they?
I didn't. I chose to have the not mid-roll option.
But I think but they do like automatically enable it, don't they? If you don't do anything.
We all got like a stern email saying you must decide and choose, and you can't skip this, so don't. Yeah, and we had to select.
But I've yet to subscribe to Apple One because.
What do you get on your Apple One package, David?
Have you got the family or the personal or the mega or whatever it is?
Yeah, so we have the family edition of Apple One, and it comes in a variety of flavors.
Is that £30 a month? That one?
No, so the one that I pay is $19.95 per month, and for that I get a good chunk of cloud storage. I get Apple Arcade, which is certainly a thing in our house. Apple TV Plus, which I think. We've done the morning show. We've done For All Mankind. Ted Lasso was terrific as well.
Guys,
that was great.
Vicky, sorry, on your recommendation, we sat down and watched one episode, and we'd watched the whole season
of which one?
Of Ted Lasso. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, you were like, go watch it. I was like, really? And it was one of the best things I've ever seen. It was so good.
No, I don't even like football.
I know, right? It's so good. It's so. Within 48 hours, we'd watched all 10.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Yeah,
it was that. It was
and
so
it
good.
was unexpected in many ways. You do expect it to be that American dude comes across and people laugh at him for getting soccer wrong, but it's a lot more than that. So I'm very much looking forward to the next couple of series, which I think have already been.
Are they recording one at the moment?
They haven't recorded, but they've greenlit two seasons. So
brilliant.
And we made our way through the morning show over Christmas. Kerry and I did, which we enjoyed very much. And For All Mankind, I
really like that.
I enjoyed For All Mankind. That was right at the beginning, and I think that's not far away from season 2 at the moment. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that actually goes.
That's going to the 80s as well. That's going to be 80s classic.
That's my era.
If you want 80s, go and watch It's a Sin. Sorry, just another tangent.
No, that's on my list. A list of.
Oh, okay.
Someone the other day said the 80s was 40 years ago. And everyone knows it's only 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And coming back to the Apple One subscription, the other thing that I get is Apple Music, and we had this decision time over Christmas again.
You had Amazon for a while, didn't you?
No, we had Spotify. We've never really had Amazon. So we are an Alexa. Sorry, how. We call Alexa and whenever anyone says, oh yeah, ask to do a thing, everyone knows what I mean in the house. But anyway, so Alexa does give you a certain amount of music for free without having to subscribe to anything. We were Spotify for a little while.
So that's the free stuff through Amazon on Alexa?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and it sated quite a lot of our needs, but certainly not all of them. We were Spotify for a while, and Spotify is, for me, by far the best, particularly on a... interfaceless, not having a screen, not tapping buttons. If you're just wanting to say to a smart speaker, play this thing or play songs like this, then it generally gets it right. Apple isn't great. It's above Amazon Music, I think, but anyway, we went and committed to Apple Music for a while, and it's kind of doing okay. Mainly because it worked across all the kids' devices as well. The kids got iPads for Christmas. There is now one of the blockers was that Spotify app was age rated. I think you needed to be 13 plus or whichever the age boundary is, which meant that my kids couldn't use it because we do put age limits on the apps that our kids use. Spotify has now come out with a Spotify Kids app that doesn't have that age limit. It has a little bit more control over the content that it plays out. But in any case, we've gone with Apple Music, and it's kind of working for now. So, if I add up my use of all of the individual Apple services and roll them up, I'm probably not making that much of a saving, particularly now that I've got Apple News Plus as well, which, like I say, I'm just trying out.
Yeah.
So, I might unbundle at some point in the future, or I might roll up and just go all in. But
I can't see
watching brief.
I'm struggling to see the value in it because I'm already getting 2 terabytes of storage for like £3 a month for some reason. It's not costing me very much.
Really?
Yeah, I get you might even be like $2.29. It's some random amount I get billed every month, but that gets me 2 terabytes of storage. We've only got the Apple Music currently, the 3-month trial, because of the HomePod, because you can't use Spotify on HomePod currently. I'd much rather use Spotify on that. I don't use Apple Arcade at all, or kids' devices haven't got iOS 13, so they can't use Arcade.
Right. And you only let your children have 10 minutes of screen time per year. So
that is true. Yeah, we only let them do that. They've bought a second Switch now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they spent all of last year saving to get a second one. Do you know? See if you can get. Why do you think
what does that mean they can do?
What would be the incentive to buy a second one? I think
they can play network games together.
Specific
Animal Crossing.
game. That's
Animal
the one.
Crossing, yeah.
They both wanted an island each and wanted to visit each other's islands, and they thought that was worth £330.
Wow, it's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. I've just bought some new Nintendo Switch controllers because there is this thing, Driftgate, where the thumb pads or the thumbsticks on those Nintendo Switch controllers starts to drift. So even though you aren't holding it, then it'll start drifting off into a particular direction. There's been a recall of sorts in the US, at least people sending in their device, their Switch controllers have been getting them fixed free of charge. Some people in the UK said they've had some success with that. So we've bought some more Switch controllers, and once they arrive tomorrow, I hope, then I'll try and go through the process and get our original Switch controllers repaired or replaced as well. And if that works, that means we've got 4 controllers, which means Mario Kart in our house is going to be banging on our 60-inch TV.
We've got three Joy-Cons pairs and 2 Pro controllers.
Oh, wow. Good work.
Yeah, and the eldest got into Breath of the Wild, and she went Pro controller to get through that.
Whereas Jeff, on the other hand, is probably just sticking with his Nintendo Wii for fear that the Wii U might be a little bit too, racy for him.
I used to have a Wii. I sold it to a friend many years ago. So
that
was great. I don't have
great.
any consoles. What I do have is that this week I've been making a video, and I wanted to go back to the 80s, so I downloaded a BBC Micro emulator.
Yes, I saw you've been having fun with that.
And I then downloaded Elite to play, on a 32K.
That was my favourite game.
My brother really got into it. I never really played it, but he really got into it.
So I've been playing all the old like Asteroids and Space Invaders and Defender, and I've been playing old BBC Micro games all afternoon. That's what I've been doing. It's great.
Yeah, I remember docking in Elite, and how much time I spent just trying to perfect my docking technique.
Yeah.
And Aresti and Lave and Disso and all of those planets in the local galaxy.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. They're all there. Gosh. They're still there, David. They're still there, just waiting to be discovered.
Yeah, and some Thargoids as well, ready to ambush you.
Flown to with your cargo of ore, whatever it is, to go and sell. Yes. Good times.
Happy days.
So anyway, back to Apple One.
This episode of Frackulous is brought to you by ExpressVPN, the easiest way to protect your online privacy. So easy, even a human could do it. ExpressVPN secures and anonymously anonymizes your internet browsing by encrypting your data and hiding your public IP address. Turning on ExpressVPN protection only takes one single click, and there are easy-to-use apps that run seamlessly in the background whether you insist on using a tablet, phone or computer. ExpressVPN is rated the #1 VPN service by fellow humans at techradar.com. ExpressVPN has a special offer just for humans that listen to Frackulous with their ears. You can get 3 months free without paying any money if you sign up for a 1-year package for a year. To sign up for a 1-year package and get 3 months free for free and to show your support for the show, sign up at frackulous.com/expressvpn.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'd quite like to try out the fitness stuff, but again, it's so tied to the Apple Watch, and only I have the Apple Watch in the family, so...
Kerry and I both have the Apple Watch. We haven't gone with the kids yet, and I don't really want the distractions like that on their wrist, and they're not going anywhere, so some of the other parental safety sort of features that you might want to try and,
we did have to go through it. So the eldest has now got a phone of her own. And
how old is she now?
She's just turned 10. 10
Don't
in
they
summer.
grow up quick? Don't they grow up fast? Well, 10? Wow.
And that was because, so when they did go back to school for that one term, they basically, school pickups were all over the show. It was kind of like year 3, which is the youngest, was being picked up at one time, and then her pickup was 20 minutes later, and you obviously couldn't hang around. We live a bit too far for her to walk home all the way on her own. And it was just one of those, like, we just didn't know where we were going to be to meet her. So, like, she's allowed to leave school on her own, but we need to basically text her and say, here's where we'll be, and then find my friends. But she would frequently forget her phone and then have to go back and get it. But the benefit, so she was going to have a 5S originally. I'd saved 2 5Ss for the kids to have as my first iPhone, and wiped them, installed, said, which one do you want, the black one or the gold one? She was like, I like the gold one. The gold's good. So she went for the old gold one. I wiped it, set it up, went to type in her password on iCloud, and I was like, the edge of the screen just wasn't working. And this is a machine. This is one where I'd replace the screen on it.
Oh, there you go.
Because the battery had basically swollen and cracked the screen. Oh. So I had to get a new battery and a new screen for it. And obviously my password, you can probably do some intense infosec on this, but obviously mine does not use the edges of the screen because I had no problem logging in on it. Hers does. And then it was just like, oh my God.
Hang on, so I'm looking, I'm thinking Q, W, A, S, Z, and X, yeah?
It was just literally the strips at the sides. You just couldn't use those keys. And so I was like, oh, okay, let's try the other one. The other one I'd also replaced the screen on because that was Bex and got smashed. Yep, same problem. Can't use the edges of the screen.
Oh, no.
So she got upgraded to a 6, which she was very happy about. But it still means she can't run iOS 13 and everything. She's like, can I get this? It's like, no, I haven't got iOS 13.
And that's because we've all paid subscriptions, so those darn developers have made all their software upgrades for the latest iOS only. If we all just stuck to older versions, we'd all be happy.
Well, she's not happy, but I think there has to be some level of kind of like earning something in this life, and that's like she's got to earn her way into past iOS 12.
So my eldest daughter has got 2 phones.
Right. Wow.
So we kind of took the opposite tack to you in some ways. So she's had for a year or so now a Nokia, like a good old fashioned Nokia.
Oh, a brick.
Well, yeah, not
Burner
even a
phone.
brick. It's like a candy bar phone. I think it's a Nokia 110. It was about 20 quid, and it's still got Snake on it.
Right.
And it's still as, gosh, you thought typing. You thought that would come back, the old T9 thing. No, it certainly doesn't. But anyway, that's.
But do you remember how fast you could go on T9?
I know, not anymore though. Blimey. So that is what she uses, and when she was on the school bus and so on. Again, she's the same age as your eldest daughter. Your daughter, full stop. You only have one daughter that I know of. Anyway, rewinding. So when she goes on the bus, that was that. But when lockdown came along and she wanted to chat with her friends, WhatsApp was the thing that a lot of her friendship groups were chatting on.
Right.
And there was no way on... She also had an iPod Touch, and there was no way of really getting WhatsApp on an iPod Touch. So it's like, okay, crikey, what are we going to do? We didn't actually have any old iPhones lying around the house because we'd sold them all off, traded them in a couple of years, or a year or so before, to get a new phone for my wife. So we went and bought her, and, well, you may remember this conversation. It was an iPhone SE 2020.
Ah, yeah.
Which she's not allowed to take out of the house. So even though she has a a really, really, really good iPhone, and I'm sure Jeff would agree it's probably the best iPhone at the moment by virtue of it having Touch ID.
Correct.
She's not allowed to leave the house with it, and she is allowed to go out with her Nokia 110. But for the tracking thing, and this is what I wanted to talk about, we did get something else for her. So technically, she's kind of got 3 devices. It is a Vodafone Curve. GPS tracker. So it's this little round thing about the size of a, I don't know, maybe a little bit larger than a £2 coin and much deeper. It's got a eSIM in there and a GPS tracker.
And how much is that?
Well, it's 20 quid a month. Oh, no, it's not. No. It's 20 quid, for the tracker device. Right. I may even have got a discount on it at the time.
But again,
and then it's a couple of quid a month for the service. And what it does is...
No, I'm actually very interested in this. I'll tell you why in a minute.
Well, yeah. £2 a month, I'm pretty sure, and that just gets added onto my monthly Vodafone bill. And for that, I get an app, and I get updates depending upon how I want to manage the battery life of the device in pretty much real time, or once every 15 minutes, or once every half an hour. She can press a little panic button on there, and it will send a push notification straight to my device as well. In theory, it's very good. The only challenge is we have very little in the way of cellular reception where we live.
Yeah, and which does let it down.
But the good old days, the good old days of the 1980s, which was only 20 years ago, was the parents would just worry about where their children are, and
or
now, or not. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I miss those days.
Find My Friends is obviously it's a great thing to have when they're young, and actually, I think she appreciates that she knows that we'll always know where she is, and she also knows where we are. It's like a reciprocal thing. So within the family, we all share our location. But I think at some point we will make it opt-in for her that she can then decide whether she wants to share her location or not. But the reason I'm interested in your tracking device is that we're getting a dog.
That was my next question. Do either of you have pets, and do you track your pet? That's what I was going with.
Yeah, we're getting a dog in 3 weeks'
What kind of dog? What kind of dog are you getting?
She's coming from Cyprus. She's a rescue. She's a puppy. We weren't actually planning to get a puppy, but we're getting a puppy.
Breed? What
we
breed?
don't know. No idea. Literally no idea.
Wow.
Stray, basically. They found
Lucky dip dog.
They found a mum stray with like puppies, and then when they came back to basically pick them up and rescue them, the mum had gone, so they only rescued the puppies. And then so she's being.
Isn't that like ordering a meal of Just Eat without knowing what you're going to get? Why would you click yes to something that we don't know?
We've got a good idea of we've seen a picture and we've seen some videos. She's very cute and fluffy. She's about 4 kilos at she was about 4.5 weeks or something. So she shouldn't more than double beyond that.
Yeah.
So she shouldn't be more than 10. Peggy was like 19 in her youth. She was like 27, 28.
Are you going to put a GPS collar on your dog?
Well, so I am also, because there's a big dog hunt going on in Walthamstow at the moment for a dog called Cookie, who basically bolted just before Christmas and keeps being spotted in this forest, but has now gone so rogue that she won't even come back to her owner. But the dog's still out there. And if they'd had a tracker, so there is just this slight worry of a new dog. You don't know until you get to know the dog and what its recall is like and what its kind of issues or hang-ups are. I'd be very interested in putting a tracker on it.
It takes 6 weeks, doesn't it? It takes 6 weeks for a dog to forget literally forget all about its previous owner and just be like, the new person that feeds me is now this person. Yes. You're there for the food, Will. Don't forget you're there for the food. That's your job. That is your job, my friend.
So that's interesting to know that for like £2 a month could track the dog, and also she could also just press the button if she wants to text us.
There are better devices, and I'll have a look. I wish I'd have prepped this beforehand.
It's more the fact that the £2 a month is kind of the most appealing thing about it, because that's the thing only a network can do is offer it for that kind of value. Like because the SIM we got for our eldest phone, that's £7 a month. And that gets her like 2 gig of data, I think. I wanted to have her enough that or maybe it's 5. I can't remember whatever it is. Enough that she'll never run out.
And Will, when she presses the button, does it play an alarm on your HomePod or your subwoofer? Ba-dum.
I see where you've gone there.
Thanks very much. All right, my time is done. I'm leaving the podcast now. Good night. It's been sorry. Come on, got to get a dog pun in.
So that's our exciting news.
Yay! Oh well, look forward to hearing that in the background as video calls with you in the near future.
You don't have a pet, David, do you? You don't have.
Yes. Well, I hope we still do. Yes, we have a little cat.
You do have a cat. Okay, all right.
BB, who
that rang a bell.
Will's certainly met.
Okay, I couldn't completely.
Yeah, she was a star of a recent video series.
She was a bit shy on that day. Oh, here we go. So, yes, I found it. So I was on a job, and I was chatting with someone who used one of these trackers. Now, this is a GPS cat tracker. I thought it was a dog, but no, my memory's wrong.
Is it very specific to cats? What's the distinction there?
I don't know. So this one here, plans start at $375 per month. It's an all-in-one GPS cat tracker with leather collar, worldwide location tracking and activity monitoring, live mode location updates every 2 to 3 seconds with a battery life, and that's the thing you've got to watch, and that you're balancing a bit. You can have 2 to 3 second tracking, but your battery may only last for a day, or you can have 15 minutes or an hour. But what they do is draw a neat little map, and it will tell you, exactly where your cat or dog may well have roamed. I think it's more interesting with a cat because you don't generally take your cat for a walk. You are your cat is afforded a little bit more freedom than a dog.
Rather than
I've got one. Hang on, David. Did you say every 2 to 3 seconds?
Yeah.
So it doesn't let you pause.
Oh, that's pretty bad, Jeff.
Thanks. All right, as you were.
Missed you.
By how much did you miss?
I will share you a link to this cat tracker, Will.
Please do.
Jeff, what computer did you have when you were younger? If you were playing Elite, were you a BBC Micro Model B?
No, I had an Acorn Electron.
Acorn Electron, yes, and you could get Elite for that, but it was in black and white.
It was in black and white, and it was you didn't have. You only had. You had like the suns, the filled-in sun. It didn't do the solid sun. It only had like the outline of planets and stuff.
But the thing with those BBC Micro emulators is that you get the extended. You get BBC Master 128
correct
version.
You can choose which one you want. Yeah.
We had a Spectrum. We also had a BBC Micro, and we also had an Amstrad. And all I wanted was a Commodore.
I've got a Commodore at home. I've got a Commodore 64 with the cassette drive and with the floppy disk as well. 14 floppy disk.
Amiga A600, which I'd actually put a hard drive in when hard drives weren't massively expensive, and I left it at my parents' house, and they just chucked it.
No,
what? Yeah.
That's kind of sacrosanct. That's outrageous.
I'd bought it like at uni. I found it in a charity shop, and then basically restored it. And and then bought a hard drive, 2.5-inch laptop hard drive, which was cheap then, retrofitted it, worked perfectly, set it all up, left it at my parents' house while I was still at time where you used to just store stuff at your parents' house. We just chucked it.
Thinking back to that period, of the early 80s and then the late 80s, I guess early 90s, there were, with the 8-bit computer, the first kind of round of that computer revolution, you were either a speccy, you had a Sinclair Spectrum 48K, or maybe the 128 that had the plus 2 or the plus 3 with a cassette.
We had like a thing on the back there, an overdrive or something that you plugged in that gave it more. More RAM, I think.
Or some of the kids had the Commodore 64, or if your parents didn't quite get computers and saw them more as educational things, then you had the BBC or the Acorn Electron.
Ours were always educational in some level. Like the Spectrum we could program, the BBC was obviously that's why the Commodore was seen as just being purely for games. That's why I went on.
No, I think the Spectrum was just for games, surely, wasn't it?
No, you could program the Spectrum. We used to program
but you didn't want to program on the Spectrum. It was bloody awful to type in on that.
Stupid rubber keyboard. And
the rubber keyboard. I remember they actually bought the Plus box and took the motherboard out.
Yeah.
Put it in the Plus, and then it was much better to use.
Yeah.
Do you remember computer clubs?
Did you ever belong to?
Where you used to go to the library.
I used to go on the first Wednesday of every month.
You used to take your computer to the library and then go and
Yes.
play on other people's computers.
Yes.
And like take the telly as well. Like how big were tellies? Like the other day I walked in and my daughter was in her room, in her bed, she's got a laptop now, we'll come to that. She's watching YouTube on a laptop while also playing a Switch, and I was just like, oh my god, 10-year-old me is like so jealous of the fact not only do you have effectively a telly and a games console in your room, you can use them in your bed. I'm just thinking like back to how big tellies were.
How heavy they were. Good God.
You couldn't move them around much, especially to go to the computer club.
I had a 14-inch black and white CRT, and it was heavy. Yeah.
And then you fast forward 10 years, and you mentioned the Amiga. So again, people kind of sat on the side of either the Commodore Amiga or the Atari ST, or if you were like me and your parents wanted it for education, then I had an Acorn Archimedes carrying on that kind of Acorn line of things. Yeah, we had pretty much one good game, and that was it. I think I can't even remember what that was called. Yeah, I was never the cool kid when it came to computers.
We got PCs eventually, and then we could play some level of games on them. Doom, you could play on. I remember playing Doom on the PC.
Days. And then, can I ask, do either of your small things do this thing, which apparently my nephew does? Is that they like play Fortnite, so they sit down to play Fortnite, but whilst they're playing Fortnite, they watch on YouTube other people playing Fortnite. So you're watching other people.
Stampy. That's our.
So you're watching other people play the game
in this house.
as you're playing your own game. Surely you've got two screens to be looking at. How does that?
I mean, I don't reckon. I mean, when the eldest played through Zelda, she did watch a lot of it on Stampy to find out how to do it. So it was like a case of she'd watch Stampy do it, and then she'd then play the bit, and then she'd then watch him do another bit, and then she'd play the bit. So it's almost like she had this personal channel dedicated to getting her through this game. It's like a different level of kind of like computer I remember buying magazines about games and getting the cheats and all of that stuff, and like, here's how you defeat this level. But they've got like a 40, 50-hour video series just about a single game that they can just watch and play through. Yeah, and play through at the same time on demand. It's incredible.
What's on our list, chaps?
I was just looking to that.
Because I
can have Slack running because I'm using the iOS version.
I want to swap out the thing that you got me to talk about with something else I want to talk about.
So
I'm going to talk about electric vehicle charging, but I haven't put that into any notes. I looked in the notes on the Slack and I couldn't see in the topic list. I
haven't updated it. I did put a little thing in the channel. Dun, dun, dun. Bear with me.
iPhone mini thoughts, M1 Mac bigger thoughts, my AirPod woes. How many times have we talked about bloody AirPods over the years on this freaking show?
So
here, do you want part 1 of 3?
Go on.
Actually, I can't find that note. Actually, bizarrely,
it's not that far back.
No, I see it. I've got it. Okay, so
tell me about your AirPods, Will.
So Jeff, do you remember last year?
Oh no!
Do you remember we had a really annoying conversation? Well, I thought you were just being annoying.
Yeah.
And I kept on ringing you, and you weren't responding to me and hanging up on me. Do you remember this? And you were like,
"What was that? Sorry,
I'd phone you, and you'd go hello, and then hang up on me. And I thought
you keep cutting out right now.
Yep, I like that. I thought you were just doing. I thought you were just doing that. And it turns out that basically the mic in one of my AirPods had stopped working.
Right.
And that's why. So I thought you were just being a dick, but actually you genuinely couldn't hear me. But because that's how our relationship goes, I thought you were just So it took me a while to work out it was just one of them. So I think it was like let's say it was the right one. So I had to remember, if I'm going to talk to anyone on my phone, I have to use the left AirPod. And obviously I'm spending a lot of time on Zoom. Although the reason it didn't become so apparent is, here's a tip: if you're ever using AirPods with a Mac, is you should never use the mic and earphone at the same time, because it halves the bandwidth. For some reason, the Bluetooth chips in the Mac cannot do the same as the iPhone. So you should always use either the built-in mic on your Mac, or even better, the one in your webcam, because that's the one you're looking at, and you're probably going to get better results from that anyway. So generally, it wasn't a problem when I was on Zoom, But then if I want to take a call and have to switch, I had to remember which AirPod I was on and whether I'd be able to use the mic. And then the second one just went. And it's one of those really annoying things. I reckon they are technically still in warranty because they were the replacement ones.
And how much did you pay for them? How much did they cost?
£160.
Right.
But that was 3 years ago.
For how? Okay.
And I probably the thing is, if was it normal times, I probably would have gone to an Apple store and just basically argued the toss in the Apple store, and they probably would have replaced them. I got them through John Lewis, and they replaced them back in over 2 years ago now. I think it was. No, a year ago. Whatever it was, they would still be within their warranty, but they cancelled the extended warranty when they replaced them, so they wasn't covered by them. And it was one of those, like, I can't argue this online. So I thought, you know what? You know, I said, like, at one point, I might buy some fake AirPods. I bought some fake AirPods.
Hey.
And that's where I'm going to leave that story.
Oh,
okay.
The tease.
Moving on.
iPhone 12. Has anyone got an iPhone 12?
No,
I haven't.
No.
But Vicky's going to buy one.
So Beck said, it's time. I need a new phone. She's had the 7 for a long.
Yeah, no, that's what Vicky's got.
Yeah.
She's got the 7 Plus.
Yeah, no. Beck
she's
got
like
the normal 7.
And she's like, I might as well get the latest and greatest so that it lasts me the longest again.
Yeah. And also Beck wanted the good camera and everything, all the stuff she hasn't had. She wanted a screen that wasn't cracked and a battery that lasted longer than 4 hours.
Yeah.
So
it's not a lot to ask.
So I said the mini. That's what, because it was like the size of it is basically it's smaller than the 7 anyway.
Yes,
but it's a bigger screen. I mean, she hated Face ID. Literally, she was like, "What the hell is this? What have you done? I hate you." But she's come round. She's got over it. She's got over Face ID. She's now okay with Face ID. The only thing I noticed about it, I mean, it's a really nice phone, but the speaker's terrible. And I don't...
Notably different to the iPhone
to the
11 or iPhone 10?
Yeah. And the 10. So I've listened to stuff. I occasionally I'll listen to a podcast on my speaker, and they're both really good sound. The 11 especially is really, really good. And then we were just watching a YouTube video on her phone. I was just like, that sounds really weird. There's just something weird and tinny about it. We did a side-by-side test of the 11 and the 12 mini, and yeah, the speaker's just nowhere near as good. But other than that, it's a great phone.
Interesting.
I don't know whether it's the size.
Is it just the size, do you think?
Because I do know they use the front glass as part of the speaker. They do like something clever where they turn that whole front glass into the speaker.
Only on the 12 mini?
No, on all of them. So the 11 they're doing that.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether the 10 they did it, but they definitely did some clever stuff to make the speaker come out of the earpiece now, kind of like when it's in speaker mode, can kind of vibrate the glass, I think, to make the sound better.
I hadn't come across that, but I mean, the theory there is a good one, and that's widely used elsewhere outside of phones.
But that's the one downgrade. I mean, yeah, nice phone, bad speaker.
And the battery life, how's that been?
Oh, it's absolutely fine. I mean, compared to the 7 it was replacing, which was totally shot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say it's very rare now that I look at her phone and it's yellow.
So I have been hands-on with the iPhone 12, in that short window.
The Pro or the 12?
All of them. In an actual Apple store, I had reason to go in. I can't quite remember why, but I had to go in and do something. Wasn't AirPod related, and I used the opportunity to, have a bit of hands-on time, and that was enough for me to conclude that my iPhone 11 Pro is the perfect phone for me for now.
Okay.
I don't really like the sizes of the other phones.
Yeah, I like the 11 size, and I like the 10 size, and I think they've kind of moved away from both of those sizes, weirdly.
Yeah, it's now, like the 10R is kind of where the mid-range of the phones are. The Pro Max is just too large for me, and at the moment I'm not, but by virtue of me not really going out to very many places at the moment, and if I am, I'm not filming, I don't need what the benefits of the 12 Pro Max give me, I'm afraid. So, there's nothing there for me. So really, under different circumstances, I might have upgraded. But the other thing comes into play here, and I might be sticking my neck out here compared to what many are saying. I wasn't enamored with how it looked.
Okay.
I
it took me a long time to stop pressing the top of the 12 mini. I kept on thinking it was a 5S and trying to press the on-off button on the top.
Yeah. No, it doesn't necessarily... It hasn't won me over yet, and maybe because I haven't had one in my pocket. And, it surprises me a little bit because whatever magic dust Apple puts into its devices, normally as soon as you clap eyes on them or smell them or touch them the first time, everything else suddenly becomes outdated and you want the newest, shiniest model. And that hasn't happened with me yet for the 12. So, I'll reserve judgment
I'm
until
really happy with my 11.
12S or 13 or whatever.
My 10's still limping along. The battery technically is in service, but it's very rarely runs out. So I'm probably not even going to get that replaced yet.
My old 6S is going along with iOS 10 installed, working just fine, thank you.
iOS 10 burner.
Just my iOS 10 burner, and it's just fine and dandy.
How's your SE going?
Yeah, I dropped it, broke the screen, had to buy another one. But, it's fine.
This episode of Frackulous is brought to you by Audible.com, the premier provider of audiobooks. With over 180,000 titles to choose from, humans like to listen to things. If you're a human, you're probably listening to this podcast right now. Audiobooks on Audible are read by real live humans, often the same ones that wrote all of the words as well. Not only are you hearing the words written by the human, but you get to experience them exactly as they intended. Humans love listening to other humans. It is one of their favorite things to do, unlike Risk, which is good, because Audible is completely risk-free. If you don't like the sounds or words you're hearing, for any reason, you can exchange it for another without asking any questions. To start your free 30-day trial of Audible, which includes a free audiobook download, go to frackulous.com/audible so that they know that we sent you and to show your support for the show.
And then I drop that, and there's a slight scratch on that screen. So
are you wearing? You got a case on it, or are you?
Yeah, but not on the glass, obviously. I don't have the protective film. That's fine. So I'm on my second one, and I'm considering getting my third.
Are you on Apple Care? Was it a big faff to get the screen sorted out, or?
No, I just bought a new phone.
Oh, as you do.
Because it's cheaper to just do that because it's SE.
Yeah.
Because it's not like £1,000 outlay each time.
I was out filming in Warwickshire at 11 o'clock in the morning. I dropped it on a gravelly stone path, and by 6 p.m. that evening, I got the train back to London. I was in the Apple store at Oxford Street. With
you didn't just get it repaired, you just bought a new one.
I just went, I'll buy a new phone.
So what did you do with the old one?
I repaired it and sold it.
Right, okay.
Here we go.
Okay, so you did effectively... So what was your difference between those two prices?
Okay, all right, hang on. All right, okay. All right, you've nailed me. So I was really angry, and as I came back into London, I remembered that there was a Bring Your iPhone Here repair store at Oxford. iSmash at Oxford Circus.
Oh, no, never use a third-party service. Never.
Yeah.
Never use one of those if you're going to keep the phone.
Yeah.
You might end up with a keyboard you can't actually use the sides of.
Oh, that would be awful.
Yeah, so I did.
You get some real cowboys doing that, Will.
So I went to iSmash, and it looked real. And they did it in an hour. I went back in an hour, and it looked really good. But then the left-hand edge of the screen just didn't sit quite right. You could feel it was like...
Was it like a little bit squidgy? Yeah.
No, you could feel the hard... As you run your thumb over it, it almost scratched your thumb. You felt like it was taking away
like a little gap.
Like a little gap. And I was just like...
See, I remember
hang on. And then I was like, well, the Apple store is only just around the corner.
Oh, so that's when you bought a new one.
I'll sell this one and then go and buy a new one. And so that's what I did.
Yes, because the first time Beck smashed her 5S, I think it was, she took it to one of those like just corner store ones, and I went to pick it up, and I looked at it, and literally turned it on. I was just like, "Is that an original screen?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, no, it's not.
No,
The
it's
color
not.
temperature
You
was
can
just
tell.
totally wrong. It was like
can tell.
so ridiculously blue. And they was like, no, it's legit. It's totally legit. And I was like,
Yeah.
and I actually had a 5S as well. So I was like, okay, let's compare these side by side. He was just like,
Yeah.
no, it's fine. It's like, you can see the difference.
Yeah.
And it was just like one of those, like, look, mate, I know you've like spent time working on it, so I'll pay you for your time, but I'm not paying you for like the premium of whatever you're charging for these Apple screens. Yeah. Oh, and then Touch ID didn't work.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily they hadn't reconnected it properly, and actually that's one of the ones I repaired. And I went in, and basically half the bloody screws were missing in it.
Wow.
Yeah, they hadn't stuck half the screws back, and they just chucked them. It's such a shoddy repair job. I mean, not as shoddy as mine. At least the edges of the screen work.
But is it terrible to think that every year I just might buy a new SE just so I've got one with a fresh battery? Isn't that
a
terrible?
Fresh one. New fresh. How much are they? Like 400.
Like 300 and something pounds. Isn't that terrible that you just think I'll just spend 300
but
pounds
yet
every
you
year
won't
on your phone?
subscribe.
And
exactly.
You
won't subscribe to the
I was going to say it. I was so... Yeah, but it's my phone. It's my phone.
But someone's got to write the software that goes on your phone.
And also, I don't spend money on AirPods that break or an Apple bloody watch, do I? So that's.
I've still got my 3. I'm still on my Apple Watch 3, and it's still doing really well.
Can I tell you something that I did spend some money on? I'm very excited by this. I'm taking the conversation away from Apple. Is that all right?
Yeah,
you're both comfortable with that.
I'll bring it back because I want it.
So, having held out on Windows 7 for many years, I've flipped to Windows 10 this year and a new machine. And I was just using solid state ATA drives in all my computers. And somebody went, "Oh, you want to get one of those?" Somebody went, "You didn't get one of those new NVMe drives then?"
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, "What's that?"
That's so
man. Fast. I got one. Oh my god! It like unbelievably fast.
Yeah,
like faster than a regular SSD.
And it's not the same as going from like a spinning disk to an SSD. No, it's not that jump, but they are ridiculously fast.
But I ran a benchmark test on my computer, where 100% is like, on the scale of how fast it. I scored 217%. I was like, it's pretty fast. It loads fast. It's amazing. My computer is sweet. It is incredible. And this little stick that you just put all your stuff on. And so now I'm thinking, and I've gone into it. I've looked it up. Of course you can. You have to pay for the motherboard, but you can get motherboard. It's called an M2 slot that they slide into. You can get motherboards with like 4 M2 slots, and you can raid up some NVMe sticks. And I'm thinking, let's do that. That would be great. But beyond 1 terabyte, you start to pay an awful premium. They get pricey.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they would have gone in my old MacBook Pro, and that was a terabyte Apple one. And last time they wanted to charge me over £1,000 for that stick.
What? Hang on, what? No, I bought a Samsung Evo.
I mean, that was
Plus.
That was
and
a long time. Yeah,
and it was 170 quid for 1 terabyte.
Yeah, you could get one of equivalent spec now, third party, for about 370, I think it was.
Okay,
but this was like 4 years ago, and then Apple.
Oh, we brought it back to Apple. So Mac Pros do have NVMe sticks.
They do. They used to. I think not anymore. So the one, my old Mac Pro, which was a 2013 model, definitely did, because they just switched it in and out that time in the Apple Store, and it was £1,000 repair.
Do you know, I'm throwing around the acronym NVMe, and I don't even know what it stands for. Do you know what it stands for, Will?
Non-volatile random access memory.
Thank you. Yeah, go on. So Apple, go on, in the MacBooks.
I've finally replaced my aging MacBook Pro.
Yeah, you've been doing some benchmarking recently, haven't you, Will?
I have. Yeah, so my MacBook Pro just about made it through summer. I did have the battery swelled on it as well.
And the left-hand side of the screen no longer works.
Oh, no, the screen works fine. That's it. But it got through summer in clamshell mode with a fan on it, using Zoom. It was the Zoom. That was the thing. Using Zoom and trying to do anything really taxed that machine to the point where it became unusable. And then the battery swell. That's the second time it's swollen on that one. I don't know whether there's something up with those models. And I was like, yeah, it's on its last legs. And I've also got a MacBook Air of the same generation. So at one point I bought 2 machines. I bought a 15-inch MacBook Pro to edit on and have that in the office, but also then when we went on jobs abroad, I could take it with me, take the edit studio with me. And then I bought an 11-inch MacBook Air, spec'd out that was kind of my admin machine, my kind of like, I can edit on this if I need to, if I haven't got my MacBook Pro, but again, it's kind of like small, light. And both of those machines have done me 8 years service.
That's not bad, is it?
It's pretty good.
Not bad.
And
you
that
meant
was
to get only 4 or 5
yeah,
years,
and that was
really,
$4
isn't it? It's the
grand I
average.
spent basically on those 2 machines.
Wow,
7 years ago, 8 years ago.
it's good.
So that,
£500 a year.
yeah.
You know,
So
that's £1.50 a day.
that's an SE.
It's like a
Yeah.
subscription.
Sounds like a subscription plan to me. Yeah.
So I was like, I kind of have to get a new machine now because this one's swollen. I'm kind of like relying on it for work. It's just like, it's time. And then the M1 Max came out. I was like, right, it's time. And so I spec'd up a
It's
M1 Mac.
time.
It's time. Spec'd up an M1 Mac. And the only thing I didn't go for on it was I didn't go for the 2 terabytes. I just went for the 1 terabyte because I was wary of time machine backups. For one, if I fill a 2 terabyte drive, it's going to be very hard to back up. Whereas I've had a terabyte in my Pro before, and that's a good space. Whereas the 512 in my Air, which was the only one you could get at the time, was tight. And so I went for basically everything on the top spec, and it's still only £1,800. And this is a machine that basically is replacing those 2 machines. So the size of it, it's only slightly bigger than my 11-inch Air. That's the weird thing. It's MacBook Pro 13-inch. And yeah, it's the same width as my 11-inch Air, and it's about, I'd say, a centimetre deeper. And that's it.
It's the same chassis as the MacBook Air that I have here. So I went and bought the
But I've got the Pro, not
2020
the Air.
Sorry, yes, my MacBook Pro.
Right.
So it's the same chassis as the existing MacBook Pro with the latest Intel
Yes.
processors, which I bought earlier this year, and it is super svelte with the touch bar, which I actually quite like.
I really like the touch bar. I'm actually,
I know a lot of
so
people knock it, but
this whole thing
I'm very
about
for it.
the touch bar going away, if that's the case, I'm glad I got this machine because at least now I get to have the touch bar. And I think unless they actually bring out touchscreen matte, because that's a huge mistake, because the touch bar does actually, I think, genuinely brings a lot.
What do you think is a
functionality.
mistake that they haven't brought them out?
No, if they get rid of the touch bar and don't bring out touchscreen max, if they literally just
Okay.
get rid of the touch bar, I think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
What do you, so here's a question. I'm sorry, Jeff. We're going into Apple things again here.
You're
but,
welcome.
You know, with regards to the touch bar, what do you use your touch bar for, Will? Are you using it like I am for scrubbing quickly across video and having a little visual rep
I just think everything about the fact, like, say if you're on Zoom, your Zoom buttons are literally there on the touch bar. It's things like that. It's that kind of like, it's a button thing that adapts the same way that the iPhone buttons move and change depending on your context. It provides context. So that for me is kind of the key thing. It's that kind of, for everything I'm doing, there's something on the touch bar. Now, obviously, it's not been embraced as much as it could have been, but I would say that the extra functionality gives me over all of the keys I never use. It's just, for me, it's just, yeah, it's better.
And for many of the apps that I use, you know, whether it is Zoom or whether it's Word or whatever, it is, yeah, very, very, very handy indeed. You know, I can see a big red leave button right now on my on my touch bar here.
What happens if you press it, David? Don't do it.
But the performance on this thing is phenomenal, and this is just in using standard Intel apps without any optimization. It's still faster.
Will, doing what? See, now I want to have a who's got the fastest computer with you. Sit. I want to do some like video crunching editing.
We should do some. I mean, I found one of the things. So I did some tests. I think I sent them to you guys. But one of my biggest takeaways was that actually Premiere 2020 is actually a lot faster than Premiere 2019, and the reason I hate Adobe is that they don't let you, like, every version of Premiere, the files aren't compatible. Like, there's no other program in the world when you upgrade the program, you can't then just open that same project file.
What do you mean? If you open an old project,
so if you move,
you bring it up to date to the new version. Yeah,
but then you then can't open it back in the old one.
Correct. Yeah.
So you're stuck, basically. So if the new version doesn't work out for you for some reason, let's say they've got rid of a feature and you haven't realised.
Well, no, you don't write over the old version. You move to a new version, so you can always roll back to the old version.
But let's say you're on a project that's kind of works across like a few months, and it's kind of
okay.
and it's that kind of, it doesn't fit that workflow, which is like a fairly standard professional workflow. Is like, it's not like you do a new project for everything. Sometimes you have ongoing projects, or even the ones where it takes like months for them to get back to you. So you don't want to upgrade everything. So you end up stuck in this cycle of like, well, it's actually a big shift to go to a new version because I know I can't just open it in the old version.
My God, this is like Jeff Marshall all over again, Will. Are you saying that you're reluctant to upgrade to the latest versions?
I'm not reluctant for reasons
You're stealing my shtick,
beyond
Will.
the fact that
stealing my shtick.
It's a risk that. So I did some speed tests and they were kind of okay in 2019, and I thought, okay, let's try 2020. And actually, the performance of the M1 still emulated in 2020 was way better, way faster. And actually, on the old Intel Mac, there was still a speed boost from going from 2019 to 2020.
And what about Premiere Beta then?
So then I moved to the Beta,
which is native.
That's
Silicon.
Apple Silicon, and oh my God, that was just so much faster. I mean, that was kind of like, what was so it went from, where were the numbers? So if I was doing the Apple Silicon export, it was taking like about 8 minutes on 2019 Apple Silicon. Then I moved to CC 2020 and it was taking 6 minutes 30. So it's shaved off, minute 30 off an 8 minute task.
Yep.
Went to the Beta on Apple and it was 2 minutes 30.
Wow.
So it was like, yeah. And it's only going to get better. That's the thing. It's like, this is like the slowest it's going to be as these things get optimized for Apple Silicon. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And then the other thing is, I'm absolutely loving the ability to run iOS apps. I mean, they're a bit janky.
How does that work? Give us an example of how you load up an iOS app on your Mac.
So there's two ways. One is the official way, which is basically a developer has allowed their app to be in the App Store. And it's just in the App Store, and you search and it says it's available for Mac or it's available for iPad and iOS, and you just click the iOS button and download it. So like Overcast, for example, great indie developer, both David and I support, has released that as just on the Mac, so you can just use it as if it's an iPad app. Many companies...
Sorry, it's as an iPad app or an iPhone app?
So it goes into iPad mode when you run it. Yeah. So it has an iPad. It's like a universal app, so it runs in different layouts, and it basically runs in iPad mode on the Mac, and it's great. It's great to have. It's kind of, it syncs back with all of my podcasts. And then for companies that basically have decided they don't want their stuff in the store, if you can get hold of what's called the IPA, which is like the app file, you can just double click it and it installs. I've got this app called AnyTrans, which basically I got it because it's quite a good way to get music on and off your phone without going through iTunes. If you just literally want to dump a load of tracks on it that you don't want to keep on there and bother with all the syncing and all that stuff. So that's why I had it. So I thought, and it also allows you to basically dig into the iPhone iOS file system a bit and pull stuff out. So I thought, I'll just pull out the apps that I want. It's actually got a little tab on there where you sign in to your App Store account, and then you can download any app directly from that you have already pre-purchased, or like even if it's a free purchase, you have to have purchased it, and then it just downloads the IPA for you, and then you double click it and it installs. So one of the best things is Slack's terrible for so Marco Woman, who makes Overcast, also made an app called Quitter, which he designed it so that basically it would quit all your social media apps, so you could get it to kill Twitter after like 20 minutes, so you didn't end up back in there. I use it basically to kill Chrome and Slack after 20 minutes, because if I leave them running in the background, they'll just kill my battery.
Yep.
So I've actually moved to using the iOS version of Slack, which isn't officially available in the App Store, but you download it through AnyTrans, you just install it. And now I can just leave it running because it's not the resource hog it was. There is some stuff you can't do, which is slightly annoying, but I can have both versions on there and then just jump into the big version when I need it and then just quit it so it doesn't suck all the resources out of my system. So there's loads of stuff you can do. I did download some stuff I thought that what I'd really like is Netflix on there, so I don't have to use Netflix in a browser, Disney Plus, all of that stuff. But actually, Netflix wouldn't run. I don't know whether I just had a bad copy that they changed it a bit and it just didn't run. Disney Plus does work, but it puts a white line around the edge of the screen for some reason, so it's not great. And I've actually been using an app called Friendly, which is a native app that lets you log into all of these. Because one thing I didn't want to do was my Apple ID I don't want to be logged into my Apple ID all the time in Safari, just in case, because it's got so much attached to it. I don't want to be logged into my YouTube account because I don't want to be followed by Google. So this Friendly browser basically is custom designed just for watching streaming services, and you can log in there, keep all the cookies in there, and you know you're not going to get tracked. So I actually find I do actually watch all my stuff in Friendly. But
so going back to the ability to use iPad OS, iOS apps, mobile apps on a desktop, one of the main differences, certainly in the Apple ecosystem, is that while you can run these apps that are made to run on a touchscreen device, but then bring them over to a desktop computer, how do they still work in as much as the interfaces have been designed to be touch first? When you're, clicking with a touchpad or a mouse, is it still the same, or are there some interactions that are more difficult? Swipes from the left of the screen or whatever
most of them
use in the app.
Most of them just work. So, because you've got the touchpad, which you can kind of slide up and down on. If you need to move the screen up and down, that translates fine. A lot of stuff is automated to work with the iPad keyboard now. So a lot of keyboard input works. And then there's like a touch accommodations mode, which I've only had to activate once or twice, where it tells you like certain gestures will replicate certain things. But generally I found I've not had to use that. They work enough compared to not having access to an app.
Yeah. Well, I do not have a Apple Silicon Mac. My wife has the MacBook Air, and she loves it, I have to say.
And the battery.
The battery life is
the other
main thing
night
for her.
We did a 4-hour Zoom, and normally, I mean, anything more than a half-hour Zoom, I'd be
That's
like...
quite a quiz. Didn't
Are you watching my quiz again, Will?
It was. That's what I was doing, Jeff. And 4-hour Zoom on battery, and battery was still 40% when I finished. Like, I had no problems. Like, it's literally like going back to having a phone or an iPad. It's that, like, I just don't even think about battery on this thing.
Yeah.
Like, for a long time, so when you run any trans, for some bizarre reason, it stops sleep. So you can do this command in terminal called, I think it's pmset -g, that will basically tell you what's stopping your Mac sleeping, which I've had to use a lot on different Macs. And for some reason, I didn't realise that when I had AnyTrans, because they kept AnyTrans open because I was logged into the App Store, and you had to basically log in each time because it doesn't save you details, with good reason. And so I just left it open while I was installing lots of apps. I didn't realise it was stopping my Mac sleeping. I didn't have it on battery, but just had it on my desk, just sat there without sleeping, and it still lasted an entire full day. Like, and I was just like, oh, and it hadn't even gone past like 80% because it wasn't doing anything; it was just on. It's astonishing. It really is a game changer.
Jeff, how many monitors do you have plugged into your PC?
Nah, that is the problem. Yeah, I see where you're going.
You've got just the one. And do you ever have need to two?
Sometimes I break out the second one.
Yeah. What do you mean you break it out? Do you have it like in a box? You just go, all right, today is the day, 2 monitors a day, get it out the box, set it up.
I experimented over the summer with sort of having monitors on like a gas arm and swiveling, and
I've gone for that. Yeah.
2 static ones, and then I went back to just normal stands, and then 2 monitors, and then 1 monitor, and then I can't decide what my preferred configuration is.
Oh, I love it.
It's nice to have choice, though, isn't it? It's
do
nice
love
to have choice.
Yeah. So the one big downside, I think this must be because of the iPad heritage of the M1 chip, is that it only supports 2 displays, and one of those has to be the internal. So I have 2. I have my Thunderbolt display still on an arm, and then I have a 1080p monitor next to it, and I use a 1080p monitor basically for Zoom calls. So I have my webcam on top of that one, and then I could be basically talking to people on the one monitor while I've got the other screen for actually working. And then if I'm actually working, then I use it for like reference and everything else. What I hoped would happen is that I could mirror the internal display onto that 1080p, and basically just turn the brightness down, because I don't need 3 displays. But it just, there's just no way to light up more than 1 monitor. It depends what order you connect them in. The only, I think Oh no, I did manage to get it working. So I had a Thunderbolt 2 dock that had HDMI out, and so I daisy chained through that, and I got the 3 monitors working, but they were all interlaced. It looked awful.
Yeah.
So there's no way to fake it. There are ways if you get basically there's this technology called Display Link, which basically uses a USB connection to then do a software emulation of a screen. I haven't tried
one of those.
I haven't tried that out. I heard there are
not great.
I
Great.
I just got the Roku Stick Plus, I think it's called, which does AirPlay 2. So you can AirPlay to another screen while having
if you have an iPad, a relatively modern iPad as well, then you'd be able to sidecar as well and get yourself an extra display.
Could sidecar, that seems... But then I want to use...
I have to say, that is terrific. Sidecar lets you use your iPad as a second display, and it can either be wireless or it can be over a USB-C cable.
Is there an app that lets me do that on my Windows? Could I sort of do Lightning to HDMI? Is that
possibly?
Is that,
there is. I use one
Duet
that was prior to that.
is
Yeah,
one
Duet.
of those.
I've used Duet. Duet's really good.
Yeah.
So I got the Roku Stick, which does AirPlay 2, plugged that into the HDMI of the 1080p monitor, and then had screen on the laptop working, Thunderbolt display working, and 1080p monitor working. But the lag on the keyboard and mouse was just horrific.
Oh, I bet.
So I think it is some genuine limitation that it can't paint that amount of info somewhere or other. And he even tried mirroring the internal laptop screen to the 1080p. And yeah, it's just not usable. So I'm going to try Display Link. That's my last hope. But ultimately, it's not the end of the world that I can't have this kind of setup. But everything else about it's great. I'm going to try Display Link.
That is a showstopper for me. And I think since we last spoke on the podcast, I've kind of changed how I work around a little bit. I'm currently sitting in a studio that I was regaling Will and Jeff with over the last few weeks.
Yeah, you've got a little studio space going on.
I do, and it's a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun hooking up different things and trying different configurations, and thankfully I've got a good pipeline of work that is pushing me to try different things as well. I've currently got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, including my iPad here, 8, including the iMac behind me, different screens, and I need the ability to have multiple screens. More
Are you
screens
driving those all from your
Intel.
MacBook Pro?
No. Although, so I have reached the limits even with my MacBook Pro here to the extent that I've been looking at an eGPU, and that's something else that the Apple Silicon Macs don't support. eGPUs.
I was looking down. Before I decided to get the new MacBook, I was looking into eGPU on my old MacBook Pro because that was a Thunderbolt 2, which would just about do it. But it was one of those kind of like, it'd be a risk and a bit of faff. And again, the machine was just getting so old anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, an ideal situation was I do not want to be running my business from a laptop. Ideally, it's nice to be able to pick that up and take it with me and whatever else. But now I've got a base. I want a machine that sticks here, that I keep relatively clean and will do the heavy lifting for me. So, right now I've got Zoom running so that we've got a little back channel. I've got Adobe Audition running to record. I'm kind of a bit, and I'm powering a couple of screens. I'm kind of a bit nervous to do very much more with that in case in case the fan starts spinning up. So I've
never heard the fan in this
Mini.
thing. That's the one thing. I've never heard the fan.
Yeah. I want a Mac Mini or, dare I say it, a Mac Pro.
Well, the
M1
Mac Mini will do two screens because it's obviously got the HDMI.
But I think I need more. I think I need more than that. Otherwise, that means I'm running 2 machines and trying to run the same operation off of 2 at the same time, and I need to be able to move a mouse easily between them. So no, I need something that maybe I could plug an eGPU in if I wanted to expand that way. So I don't know. I need to cost it up a little bit. I don't think I'd be wise getting.
Just hang on a bit. I'm sure
Intel Mac Mini right now.
I'm sure Apple knows that this is a problem.
Yes, and is it going to be an M2 or an M1 Plus? How is that going to be a thing? Or unfortunately, I'm thinking I need something a little bit sooner. So maybe I do start looking back and getting a slightly older Mac Pro. I need to look at the specs and see whether it's worth, going to the bottom of the bargain
I've got a
bin and going,
2013 model going.
Yeah,
It's only got a slightly swollen battery.
I'm wondering about the trash can Mac Pro. Actually.
Oh, really?
I need to look at cost. I need to look at performance, but I want something that isn't a laptop, and also something that isn't going to be super, super noisy either. So I kind of need to go back to basics. And you know what people are telling me, Jeff? They're telling you, David? Consider
go to Windows.
Going for a PC.
I'm here for you.
Right?
If you need help and support, I can guide you.
So one of the drivers also in my MacBook purchase was also my daughter will need a proper laptop soon. Mm-hmm. And so she's now inherited my old 12 and 11-inch Air, and she is over the moon about this. Tell us about YouTube. We haven't even talked YouTube yet.
This episode of Frackulous is brought to you by FreshBooks, the easy-to-use online invoicing software designed to get you paid cash money faster. Face it, humans, you are not good with numbers. If you're not a numbers human, sign up for FreshBooks and let them handle the hard stuff for you. FreshBooks users save 2 days per month on average, which you could spend doing futile tasks like talking to other humans and eating food in front of each other. In order to pay for these pointless activities, you are going to need money. FreshBooks lets you create invoices that look more professional than your substandard motor skills allow. You can even keep track of expenses, so you don't end up with negative money. Which is bad if your entire world is built on having it to survive. To try FreshBooks for free for 30 days, go to frackulous.com/freshbooks and enter Frackulous into the How Did You Hear About Us section, so that they know that we sent you and to show your support for the show.
You've brought the quizzes back. I haven't watched one yet, I'm afraid.
How dare you? How very dare you?
Incredibly busy despite having nothing. It's a very strange time.
Yeah, it's what we do on our Saturday nights now. It's a thing we do.
You've got some guests in though. I've seen you've got guests in. What's the setup for that? That's what I want to know. What's the setup for that?
Yeah, so we've been doing live stream quizzes Saturday night using OB Studio out through the YouTube sort of just streaming ingest server. And we wanted to bring in some other people, as is the way. So I contemplated getting a second webcam. And people were like, make sure you put it on a different USB bus on your PC so that it doesn't all get chewed up by one bit of bandwidth. But in the end, somebody said, no, just upgrade to the latest version of OB Studio. So in the latest, I think it's like version 24, free, non-subscription. In the latest version of OB Studio, there's just a button that says start/create virtual camera.
Right.
And what that then does is that, because the point is that if you're webcamming someone in Zoom or whatever, Teams or Skype, no one uses Skype, you can't both use the webcam to have the Zoom conversation and be used by OB Studio for your live stream.
Oh,
right?
okay, yeah.
But weirdly, it's less fussy about audio, and you can totally use the same microphone for both Zoom and OB Studio at the same time.
That's so strange, because David and I were doing an experiment where we found the opposite. We could capture. So QuickTime will capture the Mac screen,
right?
The video quality, but it won't. It then cuts out the audio.
So
messes with the audio.
So the way we found to do it, and I did a couple of live stream tests, is that I
want to watch these now and find out, see the magic you're creating there, Jeff.
Yeah. So next Saturday. So you Zoom call someone and you go hi, but no, sorry, you start OB Studio and you set up your camera for your live stream, but then you start the virtual camera and then you launch Zoom and connect with the person that you want to have your Zoom call with, right? But when you start that, you then have to select within Zoom. You select the OB Studio virtual camera that it's created as your video source.
Yeah, because Zoom's really good at that.
But then the mic is just the same mic. It's just my main mic that I'm using now. And then back in OB Studio, I then do a screen capture of Zoom, right? And then just
feeding OB Studio's capturing Zoom. That's feeding OB Studio. That's capturing Zoom. Do you not end up with one of those mirrors?
No.
On the screen right now is what the OBS virtual camera looks like, because I've used this as well.
How have you done that, David? That's okay. Yeah,
I mean, we haven't got time. We definitely don't have time to go to David's setup, but we can do it on the next one.
Will. You just capture. You capture. It says you do window capture. Sorry, not a screen capture. You do a window. You do an application or window capture.
But you said that that
and you choose
Zoom was using the OB Studio camera that you're then capturing in OB Studio. That you're then
I don't know why,
capturing
but it works. But all you have to do is then crop it down so that it's just the wind.
So you're basically capturing a portion of the screen.
Yeah,
and then
it works.
Okay.
But then you just have to make sure you're all wearing headphones or earpieces, otherwise you just get audio feedback on your mic, and then that's it, and it works fine. It's great, and you can.
Is that what you need the second screen for?
No, I just use that when I'm video editing, but I need to rebuild my desk really. But anyway, live streams, and now I'm doing it with a guest on a webcam. Yeah, so it's cool, man.
How's the lockdown content going?
Haven't been on a tube train all year, my friend.
I haven't been.
A whole month.
I actually haven't been on a train since February last year when I went to Makers. When I went to go and see Makers, that was the last time I went on a train.
That is crazy. So you've almost done a year.
Yeah,
that's bonkers, man.
I reckon I can easily do the year. I think.
David, when was the last time you went on a train?
I think the last time I went on a train was September. I had a couple of trips down to London, but apart from that, I've been driving. I've been travelling around. I have had official lockdown work.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I've just driven over. So, like, Jeff and I did a job last year. I just drove into town, sucked up the congestion charge, parked, just because it felt safer. So,
the way to go, David. I'm assuming when we can travel again, that invite for me to come up to your studio and do something is still open. Or do you just want to show? You just want to show off your studio? Of course. I'll think of a reason to use your studio for
some
something.
sort of collab.
I'm not sure what.
And if you were driving an electric car, you might be able to use my brand new electric car charging wall box that gets installed tomorrow in my new house.
Well, hang on, you say that, but my local branch of Enterprise,
because you've got a new driveway. I was going to say, how are you going to get your car to the electric wall box? But you've got a new driveway.
My local Enterprise keeps saying to me, "Let us know when you want to have a Tesla for the day, and we'll rent you a Tesla for the day." So can I plug randomly? A Tesla? Yeah, because they know because I hire cars a lot from Enterprise. They're like, "Do you want to hire?"
I thought you were a
Tesla?
zip car.
Like, sure.
I thought you were like zip flex.
I am for like short journeys, but if I'm going out for the day, right? Like last year,
cost effective.
But don't you getting a train somewhere? I drove somewhere.
But do they still do that thing where you have to basically make your own way to the car place? And then you get the car, and you have to get it back to that same car place.
Yeah. Oh, they do that as well. Yeah.
They've not changed. Oh, do you get a zip car flex to the Enterprise to then get the Enterprise car?
Sorry. In the world of Zip, right, there's the flexes, which are just pick and drop anywhere. And there's also statics, return to the same place. Yeah. There's one at the end of my road. And then my local Enterprise, whom I just like because they do things like offer me a Tesla, they'll come and pick you up from my house and drive me back to their place.
Okay, so that's changed because I remember when we tried to go a year. We tried to go without a car when we first moved to Walthamstow in 2006, and we literally lasted 3 months.
And then Enterprise got me to sign up to their version of Zipcar, so it's called Enterprise Car Club.
Yeah,
but it's a bit shit. It's not as good. The app isn't as good. The technology behind it isn't as good. It's slightly cheaper.
I've seen the cars around.
The number of cars aren't as prevalent, and I prefer using Zip for that.
There was Drive Now as well for a while, but again, not
anymore. That was a BMW funded one, and like
I saw one the other day. It was a van. It was called Oobly or Ooblico or Ooblio.
Is that one where you rent out your own car or something?
Oh, I don't know.
There's another one where you can literally have your own car be a Zip car effectively.
Yeah,
I'm still.
I mean, we couldn't because ours is just too filthy. But
yeah, David. Yeah, so David, if I got a Tesla for the day, could I drive up to Leicester?
You could do a collab, and then
this is it. We're doing it. Go on.
Yeah. So yes, so we are having. We moved house over Christmas, which was all kinds of fun, and in our old house, which we were renting, we couldn't have a electric vehicle charging point installed.
You also couldn't get to it, David, even if you could have installed one.
Because I remember, I feel like if you remember last summer, there'll be a point where they can say, right, you can go out again, but we'd still prefer it if you didn't get a train. So they'll, so you'll be able to take a car. Right, when that happens, dude, I'm getting a Tesla. I'm coming up. Is that all right?
Yeah, come on up, buddy. Come on up.
Just for no other reason except to drive a Tesla to yours.
And if you were to go, either of you, all out electric car ownership, then wall boxes are going to be a thing, a challenge. You know, I know that not everyone has got a driveway, and
we don't have a driveway.
Probably one of the challenges. I know.
Although up on the road from us, on the top of our road, on the lampposts there are now charging points.
Very often they're very slow charging points.
But I mean, it'd be better than no charging.
Trickle. Exactly.
And also the amount we're using our car. Literally, I've now got an OmniFocus reminder to drive my car.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to run out of battery.
What's the range on a Tesla? I'm on Google Maps now doing
200
London.
miles?
It depends on which model you go with. So
And
if
how
you're going
fast
with a
you
Model
drive.
3, and you can get the extended range version as well. But
I don't even know how many miles London to Leicester is.
250. Oh, easy.
100.
I do it on mine, which is.
Is it? Oh, it's saying it's 100. It's 100 and depends where you start in London.
Yeah.
Oh, you're south, aren't you?
You'll easily make it.
You look at it. So on one charge on a Tesla, you'll make 100 miles.
Oh, you make it there and back on a charge.
I'd say it's like 200 on a Tesla.
Well, no, but half the fun is having a bit of range anxiety and wondering where to get a charge.
You go
from,
to
isn't
Scotland then, Jeff. Go to
isn't
the
that-
Edinburgh
isn't
Festival
that-
in a Tesla.
Isn't that the game? All right. David, I'm driving up. Hopefully about March, April, I'll see you. Is that all right? We'll do it then.
End of Frackulous. If your puny human minds can handle more, then follow on Twitter. @FRACKULOUS or individually. @David McClelland. DAVIDMCCLELLAND. Jeff Tech. GEOFFTECH. @Will Head. WILLHEAD. Email your brains to hello@frackulous.com. It woke me from a lifelong daydream. While I'd been aging, you wrote it all down. And though I recognize the words when I read them, I know I never said them to people out loud. Renew my subscription.
I am also hitting record. This is me hitting record.
Are you recording just you this time, Jeff?
I did.
Or-
I'm recording. I'm recording just me.
Excellent.
So, what are you
That's-
recording into, Jeff? I saw a cheeky glimpse of your screen there.
No, that is my screen. What do you mean?
Yes. Well, I was wondering what the app was.
It's app program. It's
SoundForge,
SoundForge. Sony-
right?
I
Sony
don't think I've
SoundForge.
used
This is-
Soundforge.
it's been my preferred choice of audio editor for like 20 years.
Yeah. It looks like it's about 20 years old as well.
Well, that's because I refuse to upgrade to version whatever they're on now.
What, you mean version 2.0 from 2003?
I'm on version 11. I think version 14 is out. I'm still on CorelDRAW 16, and they want to move me to CorelDRAW 20. And I think, like everything else, it's gone. I should be saving this for the chat. Can we do this for the chat?
We can do it for the chat.
we-
I mean, if we are recording, so
The show started.